Hi, remember how I said and posted recently that I expected something big to be happening on the 18th of June, mostly because of the symbolism of the 18th of June, and because it had been used in the past, it had been picked out as a relevant date. Obviously, I was thinking of some sort of great deception. Um, well, that didn't materialize, but what did materialize, which I will show in a moment, is reports of the second wave of COVID. So a different kind of deception. Again, this second wave of COVID is supposedly starting in China again. So we're not done yet with this, and they're not done with us. But I wanted to just get back onto this subject of uh, their capabilities to give signs and wonders and distract people, and one of the favorite themes seems to be this alien invasion type theme. uh, we looked at project uh, Bluebeam, and here we see, this is not, I don't think, coincidental, but on June 12th, just a few days before June 18th, this is what got my hopes up. I saw this article. Now, this article appeared on it's rather a fantasy. You know, I don't think it's believable, but the point is that it appeared on a website that is used by a lot of Trump followers. It's very pro-Trump, and this website talks about an alien base. An alien base is here on Earth, believe it or not. It's quite funny, actually, but let me just explain. I'll place a link to the article at the end on my blog. The article is a good read, actually, if you like a bit of, fantasy conspiracy. It even brings France into it, firing missiles and secret bases under the Antarctic, etc. And it goes into the history, and it shows that in this area was visited by the Nazis, who had, and we know that they were into the occult. They worked with the occult, did the Nazis, believe it or not, and they used an old map, which was supposedly an old map of the coast of Antarctica, and they built, apparently, according to this, they must have built a base under Antarctica, and a fleet of American ships was sent there, and so forth, and to explore and see what was happening, and flying saucers shot out the water, and blah 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 blah. I'll let you read the article, watch the video. It's quite fun, but obviously fantasy. There was obviously something going on there. The Germans were very interested in that area, and there was something going on there. I don't deny that, but not the explanation that they're giving. But the point is that it's interesting that this should appear now. This constant theme of aliens, and they've already got a base here, and that got me thinking, because I thought, well, I've seen this in movies. I think it was the third Predator movie, the one with the black girl in it. There was a base under the ice, wasn't there? The Predator and the alien had a base under the ice. The flying saucer was under the ice, and also, what was the other movie? There was another movie recently, Transformers. One of the Transformer movies, Wiki, the Allspark had crashed and was under the ice. So, is there some sort of programming going on to get people ready for the fact that, oh, the aliens are already here? Who knows? Who knows? It's all too ridiculous to contemplate. But leaving aside these sort of articles, which seem to be appearing and more of, we also recently we've had more scientific speculation, which I'm going to show you as well. Now I'm going to go to the website Suspicious Observers, and show you that even in scientific papers, there's still a lot of interest for this alien life theory, or should I say theology.
Coming years. Let's go have a bit of fun, folks. That paper suggesting there are 30 intelligent species in the galaxy right now made it through peer review and hit the Astrophysical Journal yesterday. They say the closest would be about 10 to 20,000 light years away, but I want to mention that their 100-year communication period for advanced societies might be too low for the model. Maybe 1,000 years. Maybe there's 100 societies in existence now, and maybe much closer than we think. Sidestepping only slightly here, we've got a suggestion that aliens might be making fast radio bursts. This is indeed D'Amico's hypothesis, and with seemingly numerous characters of those FRBs around the heavens, it now becomes a more solid proposal, thanks to Dr. Zhang from UNLV.
So there you go. They're saying that the aliens could be much closer than we think, even in that scientific paper. Well, I can tell them where the aliens are. They've got a secret base, apparently, in Antarctica. Yep, and they destroyed an aircraft carrier or some ships or whatever, you know, some years ago, just after the Second World War. So, you know, there's a secret base under Antarctica somewhere. Well, I don't know about you, but I think the only secret base they have is probably in Hollywood, where they make movies. But what I'm trying to show you is that people are being programmed to accept this great discovery. And I'm not the only one who thinks that, because a recent video I saw, which I'm going to link below because I want you to watch the whole video. This is a very good video. It's about the Great Reset. And during this video, the lady who's looked at Agenda 21 and Agenda 230, she actually gives us a throwaway remark. She's talking about COVID and about, you know, that how they've used this to make fear and to get people to force change. And she basically used a throwaway line about the only thing they haven't done is use an alien invasion. Well, there you go. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but what I'm saying is they've got the technology now to pull off virtually any psychological deception. They've got the tools. They've got the holograms. They've got the lasers. They can project sound. They can do all sorts. So that was my main point of the video that I was making. Now I want to go and have a look at what's actually happening now, because we are the great deception I expected didn't happen, but that doesn't mean that it won't happen sometime in the future. And I reserve the date of the 18th of June as a special date because of its symbolic connotations. And while we're talking about symbolism, I just wanted to show you one or two other things that I've come across which are interesting. I came across this. I came across something on a website which made me investigate a bit further, and it was the painting of the apotheosis of Washington. In other words, where he becomes basically godlike, and the painting is in the rotunda of the United States Capitol building. And what is interesting about it is, if you look, the painting has, let me just have a look, see if I can just pull that down a bit and get it centered. You can see it there. It's got 72 stars around it. There's that magic number again, 72. And if we look at take a bigger look at the image of him, you know, close up, he's got a pose which is basically a Masonic Freemason pose. Now he's seen as a Freemason is Washington. Here we have a quick look at a history website, and it tells us that in 1753, on August the 4th, George Washington became a Master Mason. So I'm not making this up. Of course, there's those that claim that the dollar bill, which has the you know, the famous new order of the ages, or the new world order on the front, Novus Ordo Seclorum, that the bricks in the pyramid equals 72. Now, I thought that was quite interesting, and I've counted them, and I can't get them to add up to 72. Maybe the ones on the side, but not the ones on the front. I think the ones on the front are probably 33, but the bricks are not very clearly delineated on the front. But I'll show you this. This is more interesting. Well, this one does have 72, and you can count them, but only if you leave the first row out, which has got the writing on it, which has got the date on it. So if you count these rows, then you get 72, and there's 13 at the side. And the reason there's 13 is because there were 13 states originally, weren't there? As if my memory serves me well for the history, there were 13 states. But if you take the 13, the number 13, and you apply that to the dollar bill with 13 rows, because you can see there's also 13 rows on the dollar bill, you do reach a number of 70 on the side. Not 72, but 70, because they're very difficult to count. And with the top, the capstone, it's 71. So you're in that region, which is interesting again, the symbolism. And on the reverse side of the seal, of course, we've got E pluribus unum, out of many one, and the eagle's got, you can count them, there's 13 leaves on this, and in his other claw he's got 13 arrows, and here are 13 stars. But if you look, they're in the form of the Star of David, aren't they? Look, one triangle, and people have noticed this, and the second triangle. There you go. So I'll leave it at that for now. But all I'm saying is that they love their symbology. That's why I chose the 18th of June out, because it's 3 times 6, and it's a 6 month, 666. And like I say, the false Messiah, the Sabbatean Messiah, revealed himself in or said that the revelation was coming in 1666 on June the 18th. That's when the redemption was coming. So it is an important date to them. But what I didn't realize was that if you look at the article, like the previous article I wrote of the Great Deception, the fifth sequence of 360 years ends in 2025. So who knows? Maybe something is reserved, which is only 4 years away. So maybe something is reserved for then. And the reason I think 225 is important is because it's also apparently the New World Order, the website, the World Economic Forum, the UN website, Agenda 21. It has certain goalposts that it wants to reach, like Agenda 230, the sustainability. Well, there's also a goalpost in 2025. So at each stage, it wants to have progressed its plan that little bit further. So 2025 is an important date for them. And the interesting thing is that if you look on the De-Eagle website, which I've mentioned before on my website, which has a population forecast, the big drop in population is supposed to have happened by 2025. So they've already foreseen a big drop in population, especially in America, in Britain, and in Australia, basically the Anglo-Zionist countries. So whether this is all linked or not, I don't know. So we didn't have a great deception event on the 18th of June, but what we did have was the outbreak of the second wave of COVID, which again originated in Beijing for some reason. Why would it originate in Beijing? I mean, could originate anywhere, couldn't it, the second wave? But again, in China, the second wave, so-called, originated. And I'm just going to show you this news report, which also brings Brazil into it, how terrible the thing is in Brazil. The numbers are shooting through the roof. But don't forget, it's all fake news, because I've just seen a video recently online. Some of Bolsonaro's men actually broke into a hospital that was supposedly overwhelmed with people dying. And when they broke into the hospital, they found it was abandoned. There was no one in it. So you can't believe anything you hear on the news, and I mean that. I'm not just being cynical. I mean that. So much of it is just fake now. It's just completely fake, and it's just done to scare people. But I'll leave you with this report now about the second wave, so you can see that they're continuing with this until they start with something else. So we've got this second wave coming, apparently. And we've also got the riots. Who knows what else they're going to throw at us? But this is it. This is not by accident.
China has raised its emergency warning to its second highest level, putting millions of people in Beijing under renewed restrictions as the spike in virus cases continues. More than 135 infections have been reported in the past week. Until then, the Chinese capital had gone 57 days without a locally transmitted case. Schools are suspended and a travel ban is in place, but businesses and shops remain open. The authorities are imposing targeted restrictions.
The situation this time round hasn't gone back to like it was in March, because back then people had not faced the pandemic before. Then they were scared, but now, even though there had been some resurgence of the virus, customers are relatively calm.
In Brazil, another day, another grim milestone. It's recorded an average daily death rate from the virus of over 1,000 for several weeks. Experts are now expecting infections to pass the 1 million mark within days. And yet the country appears without a strategy to fight the epidemic. President Jair Bolsonaro, seen here wearing a mask for the first time, has consistently downplayed the virus, insisting the economic costs of remaining in lockdown outweigh the risk to public health. And in Sweden, more than 5,000 people have now died of COVID-19, making it the worst affected country in the Nordic region. Critics have accused the Swedish authorities of gambling with citizens' lives by not imposing strict stay-at-home measures. Hermione G, Euronews.